Well, this says it all, right? The sky darkening over the city this afternoon as ominous clouds built up and began their march eastward over Calgary. These clouds brought driving rain, wind, hail, and reports of funnel clouds.
I was saying, okay, what number do we call? Do we call the police? Do we call the weather? Who do we call? And I thought, okay, I guess we call Global.
Glad you did. The phone's lighting up here. You and others in our newsroom last night during another fierce storm, as many of you who saw this in the skies around the city phoned it in. Environment Canada confirming today that the severe weather that plowed over areas north and east of Calgary did in fact contain tornadoes. We have more on the story tonight, including why the weather experts say this may not be the end of the twisters. This is the News Hour, and here's what else we're working on.
Now from Global Calgary, the News Hour with Nirmala Naidu and Gord Gillies.
If you spent any time outside or near a window this afternoon, you saw a massive storm sweep right through the city.
Along the wind and the rain, the hail, our Global News crew is capturing this video at around 4 p.m. as ice pounded the city, the storm blowing out just as fast as it came in, but not before it spawned what some witnesses, including CHQR radio host Dave Rutherford, saw as a tornado.
This little wisp of cloud kind of began to go down, and it looked like the formation of maybe a funnel. And sure enough, this thing formed a little more precisely, and then it hit the ground. And there was material churning up. I didn't see buildings or anything, but there was a lot of material churning up from the ground. And then it became more defined, and you could actually see the outline of, a tornado, a tunnel of wind or whatever it is.
Thing to see when you're out in the golf course. Rutherford phoning in with that. Paul Dunphy now to tell us what we should be doing. And I think for the next few days, we should be keeping our eyes to the sky.
Absolutely, Gordon. Thanks to our viewers for sending in many, many pictures of that really menacing-looking sky this afternoon. Half our building was out watching it as that storm rolled through. There's a trough of low pressure basically stalled over us. Higher pressure to the west going to the southern interior tomorrow. Looks great through southern British Columbia, but things remain unstable here. Here's a Doppler radar from this afternoon. You can see that big storms that rolled through the city of Calgary right there. It is now to the south and east. We are clearing up behind it, but there are several watches and warnings in effect. Anything in yellow is a severe thunderstorm watch, still in effect for the city of Calgary. Areas to the southeast, this is all the warning area. So yes, the evening hours promise to remain unsettled. We probably haven't seen the last of it, so stay tuned. We'll keep you up to date.
And let's follow up on that. The weather does continue to create the ideal breeding conditions for more twisters.
That's Environment Canada's assessment following some strong and severe weather last night. A tornado touched down twice near Airdrie, and there were more reports of funnel clouds north and east of that city. The News Hour's Lisa Ostrikoff with more on that and if it's a preview of what's to come.
A stark contrast between the dark skies and the summer landscape. It was clear something was brewing.
That ominous sort of calm started to happen. And then the warm air started to happen. I thought, okay, I've seen this before a couple times.
And it led to this in a matter of minutes.
Hit the ground, start to travel probably about 2 miles. Coming in, coming out, coming in, and then it finally, I thought it was going to really grow into something.
It was a tornado touching down in an open field outside of Airdrie.
It looks like it was a landspout tornado, so not as significant as some might be, but any tornado is dangerous. It actually jumped across Highway 2 of all things.
It came and left just as fast, leaving the landscape virtually unscathed.
We did have in the area severe weather, and as you know, the public warning system went into effect based on a telephone call that came from a pilot in the area that did see rotation to the cloud.
One of two in the air yesterday, seeding the cell with a chemical that breaks up the moisture in the storm.
And our plane at Cloud Base spotted a tornado touching down. He reported 4 miles northwest of Airdrie at 4:28 p.m. And it touched down momentarily, lifted, and then he called on the radio and told me it was back on the ground at 4:31. And at that time, I called Environment Canada.
Now, there's one body of thought that suggests because we here in Calgary are so close to the mountains, that somehow makes us immune from ever being hit by a tornado here. Unfortunately, though, that's not necessarily the case.
And we've seen it very close to the city of Calgary. I wouldn't rule it out, but I think we're right on the fringe as to where these storms develop and where Calgary could be in a situation of very intense, severe tornadic weather in the future.
And the future could be closer than we think.
Well, we're very much in severe weather season, especially in Alberta.
Lisa Ostrikoff, Global News.